for superstar Cameron Beaubier. Another race, another win, another record. But an early exit from yesterday's race by Jake Gagne opens up the battle for second. And it rages on right now on FS1.
Anticipation at a fever pitch for the MotoAmerica AMA/FIM North American Road Race Championship. From Millville, New Jersey, it's round 6 of 9 for 2020. MotoAmerica Superbikes at New Jersey from New Jersey Motorsports Park. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HONOS Superbike Show. I'm Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore, two-time world champion. Now, Jason, look, we're going to talk about the one guy who's dominating this series, Cameron Beaubier, because he is absolutely on fire, and he's doing it by breaking records all over the place.
Yeah, he's coming into tracks, he's breaking the lap records in qualifying, and then yesterday, he not only broke the race lap record, but he was only half a second off what he qualified at in the race.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. A 120.310 to own that record, and the only rider around New Jersey Motorsports Park to do a 19 in qualifying. Jason, let's take a look at some race 1 highlights because it was quite entertaining.
Yeah, well, yesterday Cameron gets off to the start he needs, and it just puts so much pressure on the guys behind him. And you can see Gagne goes up underneath Scholz early, but just half a lap later, he goes down in turn 7 to really hurt his championship. It's the second time this weekend we've seen Jake unfortunately go down, but this guy, Matthew Scholz, did a tremendous job, rolled around in second place, didn't really have any pressure put on behind him that much. As you can see here, the Westby rider again on the podium once again here at Jersey.
Yeah, and what this does is it really changes things in the championship for second place. So for Jake Gagne, he's holding on to a slim 2-point margin over Matthew Scholz on the Westby Racing Yamaha. These two guys going after it, and trust me, when you talk to Westby Racing, they definitely want to be second in this championship. So a lot on the line for them today to set that points. But also, Jason, want to talk about Tony Elias, your 2017 champ. He had been podiumless all season, and he was able to get off the Schneid and get on the box, and he's with Hannah right now.
Greg, the M4XR Suzuki team and Tony Elias have been making slow and steady progress in the right direction and finally secured their first podium of the season yesterday. Tony, with that progress in mind, do you feel a sense of relief or a little less pressure headed into today's race?
No, not less pressure, or I mean, normally I just focus on my job, and more or less pressure, it doesn't matter to me. I mean, the most important is work well, work hard. Is what we did since the first day I arrived in this team. We are working so hard. We improve, we have grip this race, but now we have to work around and do baby steps. We are in the right direction, so we'll see. Yesterday, first podium, we'll see it today.
Thanks, Tony. Let's get over to Jamie.
Hannah, it's consistent podium finishes that has put Jake Gagne in that #2 position in the points, but this weekend it's been a struggle. He's had 2 pretty big get-offs, one resulting in not finishing the race yesterday. Jake, for you, what have you done overnight to recenter and refocus for today?
Yeah, I just hit the reset button. It's been a rough weekend. I've given these guys a lot of work, but hats off to the Monster Energy Attack Performance team, and this Yamahas are really, really good, and I've thrown them down a couple times this weekend. That's not how you want to start, but we'll finish strong and get a good solid 21 laps in here and try to bring these Yamahas up on the podium.
Good news for him, Greg, as he says he's not as sore as he was yesterday either.
Yeah, that's really good
that's
news.
good. And you know, the thing is, you can see the frustration there, but the problem you have is that you got Cameron Beaubier, his teammate, has really been able to set the pace at these races, and these guys are trying hard to catch up, and we've seen our field get closer and closer to Cam all year long, and Jake has been riding really hard. His accident on Friday was really, truly, really no fault of his own. Just happy to see him get up from that one and get a good look here at our reigning champion, Cameron Beaubier.
Jay, let's take a look at what these riders have to hustle their 230 horsepower Superbikes around, 2.25 miles. It's got 4 left-handers and a bunch of right-hand corners, which puts quite a load on the right-hand side of the tire, but A little bit of elevation changes here back in 2008. But Jay, as we look at this road course, we want to focus on where are the spots to pass. So let's go to our Cardo track hotspots.
Yeah, when you look at the hotspots here down in turn 1, Greg, you're going to have a lot of people drafting down that front straightaway, making passes coming down into here. Go up over turn 2, it's a little bit blind. Turns 3, B, and C are a little bit tricky only because this right-hander here has a little bit of a crown in it, goes off camber. Then you go up over the little wheelie jump there into turn 4, which then leads you into the next passing spot, turn 5. You'll see guys trying to run up the inside of each other there. Turn 7, 8, 9. This is unfortunately where we saw Jake tip off yesterday at turn 7, the beginning of this rotation of right corners all the way around. Really want to make sure your bike works good on the edge of the tire all the way up this hill. You never really get the bike back upright. Then we're going to be coming onto this front straightaway, fast front straightaway that it is, but it's a 4th gear right-hander, probably a good 120, 130 mile an hour through that right-hander as you come onto this front straightaway.
A lot of track action we're expecting from New Jersey Motorsports Park. How about Kyle Wyman? A strong 4th place finish for him yesterday. Can he do better today? We're here to find out.
Today's Superbike coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. Today's Superbike race coverage is sponsored by HONOS, the apparel brand that promotes talent within the adrenaline sports realm.
Back at New Jersey Motorsports Park, and for you Josh Herrin fans, it looks like there's a problem with his Scheibe BMW. He had to push that off the grid. Bikes are on the warm-up lap right now, so they parked that motorcycle and are getting it out of the way. Here's what happened earlier today, Jason. This was in warm-up this morning.
This is going from turn 9 down to turn 10, and he tries to squeeze up underneath Sam Verderico and gets off into the grass and collects him and Sam as they went down. And this is on the 2nd lap of warm-up this morning, and now you just got to think that was the last time the bike saw the track, and obviously there's something that didn't quite get put back right, or just a problem when you crash in warm-up.
Yeah.
Cameron Beaubier on the pole. Matthew Schultz, Jake Gagne. Unfortunately, Josh Herrin starting from that 4th grid spot is not going to be starting from there. Tony Elias and Bobby Fong are going to round out row 2. Back onto row 3, we got Dave Anthony, Kyle Wyman, who we said finished 4th yesterday, coming from that 3rd row. Bradley Ward on the outside there. Corey Alexander is going to be next to Travis Wyman and Danilo Lewis. You see here Joe Giannotto and Jeremy Coffey on row 5. Flinders Verderico and Steven Shakespeare round out our field. So real bummer for Herrin because that's his best qualifying of the year. Did a really nice job. Had a problem yesterday and obviously had a problem this morning that led to him not starting the race.
Another follower was Westby Racing's Matthew Schultz. Looks like they have that motorcycle back together and ready to go. What does Tony Elias have in store for us today as Cameron Beaubier starts for pole position? HONOS Superbike race number 2 underway, and another spectacular launch from Cameron Beaubier.
Yeah, Tony Elias on the outside there, number 24. He got a good launch from the 2nd row. The 2 Yamahas are going to squeeze him out. Bobby Fong on the inside there as well. Looked like he might have slotted in ahead of his teammate also. But for Cameron Beaubier, this is what he wants to do, Greg. Get out to a good start and lead the field.
Great onboard shots from Cameron Beaubier's Monster Energy Attack Performance Yamaha R1. Already trying to stretch it out ever so slightly. Jake Gagne trying to go with him. Now we're getting into that part of the track where Gagne on this very first lap threw it away yesterday. He's got to keep it nice and tidy if he wants to stay with his teammate.
Yeah, more importantly, he didn't get the laps yesterday that all these other riders had. So any setup changes that he might have wanted to make overnight, he's going with his first day setup.
So it's Beaubier, Gagne in 2nd spot, Matthew Schultz in 3rd, Tony Elias
Bobby
back
Fong,
there in 4th.
Yeah, Bobby Fong's
Bobby
4th,
Fong
I think,
4th.
Greg. Yeah, and then Elias is 5th. Bobby was able to squeeze him out into turn 1 there. He's seeing some on-bike footage. This is that big, long
certainly.
7, 8, 9 area that I talked about in pre-race. Down here into turn 10. Matthew Schultz is also going to be a rider feeling out what his bike actually feels like this first opening laps because of that accident we spoke of.
Gagne already with a little bit of... Oh, and somebody's off!
Bradley Ward. Bradley Ward's bike is going to get back onto the track.
And everybody sees it, though. Everyone sees it. So it's in a bad spot. Evasive action taken by everyone.
Wow.
So Bradley Ward, everyone able to avoid disaster, but his motorcycle sitting there. My guess is we're going to see a red flag, but race action continues up front for Cameron Beaubier.
That's going to be a high side back to the right, Greg. That's going to be coming out of turn 10, the little kink back to 11 there. That's where you get high sided out of that corner. And these guys are still going around. They're probably about 25, 30 seconds away from where that incident is. So we're looking out to see if we're going to see a red flag come out on this race.
Nothing yet, so we continue racing up front. Cameron Beaubier with a slight lead over Jake Gagne and Matthew Stoltz. So Yamaha 1, 2, 3. Jason called it Bobby Fong and then Tony Elias on a pair of M4 X-Star Suzukis. So we can see from our commentating position, the red flag is out for this one. So that means race stoppage at this point. There's a hazard on the racetrack. Everyone needs to slow down to schoolyard speeds, or school zone speeds, I should say.
You're going to look in the background, and you can see Bradley Ward's yellow helmet there, and he's right in front of Corey Alexander, and he's going to get up out of the seat. I don't know what, that is so weird. Like he almost saved it, or he ran off the inside of the track.
I think he ran off the inside of the track, and then it sent his front wheel in the air, and off to the grass he goes. And by the way, we've had tremendous amounts of rain here over the last couple of days. Not yesterday, so it's off track. It gets very treacherous here in New Jersey. Boy, that was just a strange one, Jason.
Yeah, that's not a good one there for Bradley. See his bike.
Bradley Ward out of Great Britain on the Fly Racing ADR Motorsports Kawasaki ZX-10R. So Cameron Beaubier was leading this one. We'll bring them all back into the pits. Now, for race teams, they can do anything they want to motorcycles except change these tires. We're going to get a lot of this sorted out. We have more coming at you from the Jersey Motorsports Park, HONOS Superbike. Stay with us. Welcome back to New Jersey Motorsports Park here in Millville. HONOS Superbike race number 2. And this deep into this hour, you can see that motorcycles are on the grid. Quick start procedure. They've just done their sighting lap. Teams had one representative out there to make sure everything was okay. And Josh Herron is out there after his bike not starting. But Jason, as we get set for this, looks like he's tightening up his bodywork there.
He's got bodywork, yeah, he's got a bodywork issue or something. This was the reason why we got to the red flag. Bradley Ward in the background there, he ends up tipping off in these fast S's. Bike comes across the track. Our field did a good job missing him, and you can see this bike ghost road in a really, really horrible spot, by the way. And he received the attention he needed. We've been waiting for a while, and there's Bradley and his bike, but what it really did is it helped Josh Herron and his crew get his bike together. And you can see Bradley getting in the ambulance there.
All precautionary measures for Bradley Ward as he gets in there. 14 laps the restart of this race. It was scheduled for 21. So all riders will take their original grid positions, as we were told, including Josh Herron. He is out there. So when Josh came back after that sighting lap, he had one crew member out there as you're allowed, and they did make some adjustments, it looked like, on the left side of the bike, and then Josh Herron was kind of pointing about that bodywork, and you saw kind of the back half of that. Hannah, anything new on Josh Herron?
Well, I talked to Steve Scheibe, and he said Josh was the one that nailed down what the problem specifically was himself. It looks like there was a little bit of water in the ECU connector from cleaning it out after a little bit of a tip over this morning.
Wow, so that makes sense. Oftentimes what happens, Jason, is that crews, after the bike hits the dirt, they're going to take it back and they're going to wash it off, and then they're going to disassemble it and get everything back together. So, yeah, great job.
Short out or something, maybe.
Exactly, yeah. Good thing it didn't fry the ECU.
Yep.
So back in action.
It's good to see him back out there. You know, one of the places that we've really seen Cam get better at this year is his starts, and I think that's another key to his success. Is we've seen the #1 bike come up here to the grid. His starts have been so on point.
And Jay talks a lot about the electronic strategy with that launch control, but also he's running a longer wheelbase and a shorter motorcycle than he ran last year. And of course, it's all about controlling that front wheel. Plus, you put the mind of Richard Stamboli on it behind that laptop, and things happen that are magic. Here we go. We're ready for start number 2 of race 2 of the HONOS Superbike class. 14 laps scheduled in this one. A strong front row of Yamahas, and Cameron Beaubier looking to get another launch into turn number 1 and be the first one there. He gets another brilliant start.
What a start. Now look at Tony Elias in the yellow. He's going to go to the inside, Greg. He got boxed out on that first start. He's going to be 4th this time. Now he can do what he wants to do and try to run with those Yamahas like he talked to Jamie about. Run with those Yamahas for the first 4 or 5 laps. Try to get closer to them. Gagne in 2nd behind Beaubier. Stoltz in 3rd.
Yeah, what you can do off this start with 14 laps, fuel load-wise, is lighten that bike up a little bit. Maybe that's going to help the M4 X-Star Suzukis of Tony Elias and Bobby Fong. They're running 3rd and 4th. So it is Cameron Beaubier, Jake Gagne, Matthew Skoltz, Tony Elias, Bobby Fong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that order. And the rest of the field piling up behind them. Onboard shots from the #1 plate, Cameron Beaubier.
Yeah, you can hear him back shifting into second into this area here, turn 7, 8, 9 up the hill, and Tony Elias trying his best to stay with him with his teammate Bobby Fong directly behind him. Kyle Wyman there in 6th with Cam Peterson. So Cam Peterson is right on the back of these Superbikes that he wanted to be on the back of, and you can see Herron's got an issue, Greg. Herron has got an issue. Look like he's pulling over to the right there in turn 10. Yep, I can see it in the back of my screen. Something has gone on there with him.
So they didn't quite get it sorted out, and we also found out his transponder wasn't working for timing and scoring. So we would have had to keep an eye on him. So unfortunately for the Scheibe Racing BMW, it looks like foot peg or something's loose.
Foot peg or
on board with Tony Elias, looking at his teammate Bobby Fong, M4 X-Star Suzuki, and talking to Frank Aragaki, the team working so hard on that motorcycle, just haven't quite found the setup, the baseline, the sweet spot that GSX-R 1000 needs to operate. But Fong, riding injured, didn't want me really to talk about it. Jace doesn't want to make any excuses for himself, but we know the reality of that left wrist for Bobby Fong. Jason, his teammate, M4 X-Star Suzuki's Tony Elias. 1 podium appearance so far for Elias. That was yesterday. Bobby Fong's already put this thing on the box 4 times this season.
Yeah, when you talk about Bobby, he's just a tough guy, and he wants to just keep riding, keep learning, keep doing as much as he can on this bike. And right now, I'm liking what I'm seeing between the 2 Suzuki guys. The Gagne and Skoltz aren't exactly just disappearing right now, and neither is Cameron Beaubier. When you look at it, these guys are not that far behind Beaubier. We were used to seeing Beaubier get out to a pretty quick start, maybe 1 or 2 second lead after 1 or 2 laps, and right now they're keeping it pretty honest.
You mentioned Bobby Fong riding with that injured wrist. I talked to his crew chief, Frank Aragaki, this afternoon, and he very honestly said if the bike was better this weekend, Bobby would be riding it better. He said he is not the weak link with that injury right now. It's just a racetrack that he as a crew chief has always struggled with. It's finding that balance between handling and grip, and they have an even different setup on the bike this weekend. They've run something completely different every time they've been out there, so it's always a guessing game.
Yes, Bobby Fong goes into 4th place past his teammate. Frank Aragaki told me the same thing, Jamie, and what he added that is that this GSX-R 1000 they find with its optimal setup is a very finicky motorcycle. It's a fine line to find a great setup, and they continue. People, they don't necessarily realize that Frank Aragaki, this is his freshman year as a crew chief for a full-blown Superbike, as well as Bobby Fong, his freshman year on a full-blown Superbike as well. This first-time M4 X-Star Suzuki team, as they are the premier team for Suzuki in the United States now. But in terms of this guy right here, Cameron Beaubier, Jason, 3 laps into this thing, we usually see Cameron with a much larger lead as opposed to Jake Gagne right now, who's keeping it really close. And I wonder if the comments that we had from Cameron Beaubier about the tire situation, the coolness of the racetrack, are allowing these two. As you see Gagne look like his knee went through the dirt, keeping it this close.
Well, the thing is that Cameron's going to feel things out these first couple of laps. He's at a 20.9 on his first flying lap last time through. They're in the low 21s right now. So the pace again, Greg, isn't what we saw yesterday. We saw Cam 20.3 yesterday. We saw him do that fastest lap record in a race as far as race lap records go. So, and you can see this gap now just starting to go across between him and Gagne. The other guys, though, low 21s, even in the high 20s on their first lap as well. But this is where you'll see Cameron just start to grind out the laps. As he gets more comfortable, as he realizes that the tires are underneath him, he's going to continue to push that pace because he's not used to going around and not seeing +1 or +2 on his board. +0 was probably didn't look normal for him when he came by that first lap.
And of course, we're looking at Jake Gagne, number 32, and Matthew Skoltz. That's the battle for second in the championship, with Gagne only 2 points ahead of Matthew Skoltz. And the difference between second and third is 4. So if Skoltz is able to hold on to this position, make a move late in this race, and put Gagne behind him, all of a sudden you would find the South African in second place in the points, and Gagne moving back to third. And believe me, when you have Cameron Beaubier out front and people look up the road and say, oh yeah, all Cameron's done is win with 1 DNF, second place A lot of eyes are on that position in this championship.
Really like how Gagne is getting through the last sector, the fourth sector of this track. He was able to gap Schulte just a little bit through there, and you can see that gap. He's able to hold it. What it does is it doesn't allow Matthew to get close enough to him to try to pass him down into turn one. A little further back, Kyle Wyman and Cam Peterson are going after 6th place here. So Cam at a 22.5 right now. So he talked earlier about wanting to get down into those 21s. Kyle Wyman, on the other hand, I know they're continuing to try to make some changes to this Ducati. Yesterday they had a decent setup. They tried to make some improvements on it this morning, but Cam's able right now to hang with Kyle Wyman.
If you're new to motorcycle road racing, one of the most critical components when you look at a HONOS Superbike is going to be the tires underneath them, those Dunlop tires. Jamie, we know that the Monster Energy Attack Performance Kawasaki's are rolling out front right now. Any news on what tires they're running?
Well, usually when we see them go into the race, they're on the same tire selection. That's what we saw yesterday. They had the extra soft at the front, and then they were on the soft, just a little bit harder at the back of the bike. But today they have split that strategy. So Jake Gagne has switched to an extra soft on the rear of the bike. They found something that they thought might work, and it looks like right now it could be giving him that little bit of extra to close that gap.
Yeah, no, by the way, those are Monster Energy Attack Performance Yamahas.
Yeah,
not really sure where Kawasaki came from. About 2004.
Yeah, well, we're watching some World Superbike maybe, I don't know. But
yeah, something like that.
You can see here up front, 21.1. So the lap times, Greg, so there might be something to what Cameron said about the coolness of the track, and as well, that sighting lap, warm-up lap track, and then one lap of a race. The heating and cooling of the tires might have something to do with the lap time.
And Jason, in all the years we've been coming to New Jersey Motorsports Park, we have definitely seen track conditions vary quite a bit, from rain to clouds to sun. This particular surface has been traditionally very sensitive to temperatures. Number 23, Corey Alexander in 7th place, trying to chase down Cameron Peterson. Cam Peterson and Corey Alexander on stock 1000 spec machines. They race in the stock 1000 class here in MotoAmerica, with an opportunity to race in the HONOS Superbike class to gain experience. So you see Cam Peterson and Corey Alexander often leading the way in stock 1000.
Yep.
But the reason that they're here in 6th and 7th place currently is because of the different spec machines. Stock 1000, more of a basic, more of a motorcycle that you would purchase, closer to the motorcycle you would purchase off the showroom floor. David Anthony on a more highly modified GSXR 1000. That's more Superbike spec, as we like to say.
And we've seen David on Kawasaki's the past couple years, so this was a bike change for him going into 2020. So he's been pretty happy on that motorcycle, as well has David. He's gone really well at some tracks. This weekend he was up in the top 5, top 6 in the times all day on Friday. So he did have a tip-off in those iffy conditions on Friday as well, but he's been back up and right now running 9th.
So Corey Alexander, local rider on that ride. HVMC Racing Kawasaki ZX-10R. And how about this battle? So Kyle Wyman, the number 33, on that Kato Fastening Stone Castle KWR Ducati, flying the flag for all the Ducatisti, being chased down by a very fast Cam Peterson, a rider on Altus Motorsports Suzuki, who's really made a transition this year and coming to his own, especially on these big bikes.
Yeah, for sure. Cameron, you know, he's been around for a while now. We've seen him on 600s. We've seen him bounce from different teams that really weren't that well funded. And I don't think we ever really got to see the true potential of Cam Peterson until 2020. And really this year, like I said, he's impressed me a lot. He's impressed a lot of people in the paddock with rides like he's doing right now. So he's doing mid-22s, 22.5s is what Cam has been doing the last few laps, actually. So, and he's right on the back of Kyle Wyman, and just behind them is where we saw Corey Alexander and David Anthony.
Talk more about Kyle Wyman. If you think about his experience at the Ridge Motorsports Park, it was a bit of a disaster. We'll get back to him in a moment as we now look at the battle for second spot between Jake Gagne and Matthew Schulte. It is closed up to within a bike length.
Yeah,
Cameron Beaubier 2 seconds just up ahead of them. So now the question becomes, where is Matthew Schulte stronger than Jake Gagne? In terms of those series of corners, it isn't there.
And when you look at it, Greg, he is only 2 seconds up the road, but he gained 0.7 of that on Gagne here on the last lap. So it was only about a 1 second gap that Beaubier had until this last lap. So we're 7 laps in, we're 7 to go, and Beaubier is able to still run that 21.2, only 0.3 off his fastest lap of the race so far And Skoltz, last time by on the front straightaway, was much closer to Gagne than I've seen him the last, let's say, the beginning of this race, the first 4 or 5 laps. So we'll keep an eye on this little battle as they go through these last couple sections before they get down to this last corner, and see if Skoltz can get anywhere close enough to draft Gagne down the front straight and set up a pass down into turn 1.
Jason, in talking to Matthew Skoltz, he said today for the race he wanted to tweak some minor things to make the bike easier to ride, especially later in the race. Talking to his electronics tech, Ed Sullivan, he said they adjusted the power, so the torque for each gear just a little bit using data from yesterday's race in every single corner, but over 21 laps, that adds up to a pretty big adjustment.
And one of the things that they really wanted to work on coming into the weekend was their qualifying position so that they could be up there with the other Yamahas. So him out on the racetrack right now battling with Jake Gagne is exactly what they were looking for. Reason being is that between the Yamaha and the Suzuki, they race so differently that when they're out on the racetrack together, they can't pass each other. So he knows what the Yamaha does. He knows the way it runs. It's going to give him a fighting chance to move up as another spot.
We've talked about it for years, Jason, where the Yamaha needs more flowing lines, and the way Tony Elias was setting up his GSX-R 1000s, it was all about getting straight to the apex, getting the motorcycle turned, and blocking the flow of the Yamahas. So when you have riders of equal skill level and equal setups on similar motorcycles, this is what you're getting right now.
Yeah, when you hear Matthew talking about how hard it is to pass, when you're on with somebody with the same manufacturer, kind of doing the same things, there's technical support shared between these two teams specifically. You can see Gagne goes a little bit wide there, and Matthew had a notion to go up underneath him. But when they do race against the Suzukis, the whole plan with the Suzuki the last couple years with Tony, like you say, is to kind of square the corners up a little bit more, get it in there, get it parked and stopped at the apex, and fire the bike out. So it definitely disrupts things. As you see Skoltz now taking a shot at Gagne as they go into turn number 1, and he's able to make that pass. That's all set up back into turn 10 area.
Beautiful move. You had to get hard on the brakes, and lifting the rear wheel off the air is Matthew Skoltz, Westby Racing Yamaha. They get the job done for the time being as Jake Gagne trying to chase him down. Now goes to school on Skoltz to find out what Skoltz has. And like I said before, this is for second in that championship fight. So, go ahead.
One of the things you got to think about too, Greg, is this race was supposed to be 21 laps. It's 14 now. So some of these teams that were planning for longer races where they're going to be able to make a plan for later on got taken away once we had that red flag out. It's gone from 14 to 21 laps.
Jason, you mentioned the red flag. It was caused by Bradley Ward. Hannah, do you have an update on Bradley?
I do. I just saw the helicopter take off. I've gotten word that it is taking Bradley to a bigger area hospital with a potentially broken arm and broken wrist. So our thoughts are with him right now.
Yeah, that's too bad to see that for Bradley. You could tell he was probably in some discomfort there when we saw him on our camera and after the incident. So hopefully Bradley's going to be okay, and we'll be thinking about him.
So Cameron Beaubier leads this battle for second by about 3 seconds over Matthew Skoltz and Jake Gagne. Skoltz will come on to the front straightaway. When he comes across the stripe, he'll be credited with second spot. Their lap times, 22 flat, so he got 0.3 of a second away from Gagne on that lap. 21.6 for Cameron Beaubier, his fastest lap of the race, a 120.9. So far, that was done back on lap number 2. As we've seen so often from Cameron Beaubier, it's all about putting down super fast lap times the first 3 laps of the race, then managing that lead. How about
this
Bobby
guy?
Fong?
He's coming, Greg. He just did a 22 flat that lap to Jake Gagne's 22.3. So I don't know if he's going to have enough time left. He's got 4 laps to go, but exactly kind of what we heard Tony talking about. The Suzukis are able to kind of sustain a certain pace from the very beginning, and these guys have been running around in the low 22s from the majority. Now, we also saw Bobby Fong, 21.5 is his quickest, 20.9, 21.1, all the Yamahas up in front of him, but he's able to sustain that kind of half-second pace from the 21.5, 22 flat, 22.1s. So that's where the 2 guys in front of him now are falling back into.
So Bobby Fong really not wanting to make any excuses, Jason, but in conversations with Bobby, talking about the physical demands in terms of his actual wrist here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's a different load, a different demand on that wrist than you would find at the Ridge, for instance. But in looking at that straight-on shot of Bobby Fong, you can tell that there's still ergonomic changes to his M4 X-Star Suzuki over the way he normally rides that motorcycle. And what I'm talking about is the angle of his handlebars. They're out a little bit further than normal as he's trying to get around lap traffic. Number 72, Stephen Shakespeare, So Shakespeare with blue flags out knows that there's fast traffic coming. Of course, Beaubier had gone by him about 5 or 6 seconds up the road.
Yeah, but Bobby, even then, that holds him up a little bit because, Greg, he's 0.3 even quicker than Schultz on that last lap. So he's chewing into the gap that those guys have on him up in the front. You can see Tony Elias now. This caught Shakespeare as well.
So Tony Elias gets around in 5th spot. Last time by a 22.4 for Tony. Kyle Wyman back there. 2 laps ago, Kyle Wyman, who's behind Tony Elias by about 7 seconds, set the fastest lap of his race at a 22.5. He just did 22.6. So still Tony Elias is getting away from the 6th place rider, Kyle Wyman. But the question is he gaining any on his teammate, Bobby Fong? And last time, Bobby Fong had 0.6 of a second quicker.
Last time Bobby Fong was the fastest rider on the track, Greg, so 21.7 would make him the quickest guy on the track. Tony Elias has lost quite a bit of time here in the last 2 or 3 laps just because of the pace that Bobby's been able to push through and get going to. And so with 2 to go, he's a little bit too far behind the other guys that are battling for 2nd and 3rd spot. But we'll be able to see next weekend if any of the changes that Tony really made today or this weekend are going to help him at Barber. Today it looks like he's a little bit further back than he was yesterday, even, finishing on the podium.
So Tony Elias in 5th spot. Here's that battle for 2nd spot. Thought for a moment that Matthew Schultz might get away from Jake Gagne. That gap has settled to a couple 10ths of a second at this point. 22.1's the same lap time last time by with Bobby Fong in a 22.2. So Bobby Fong is back there. You can see him off in the distance when we get that shot, but with a lap and a half to go in this one, it doesn't look like Fong's going to have enough to catch this group.
And it just seems like Matthew has just enough to where it's making it hard for Jake to get close enough to do anything. He can kind of pace himself off of what Schultz is doing, but he can't quite get up there near enough to get a pass. And this is where, to me, Matthew's bike looked like it was handling pretty well earlier. That said, Gagne's really got a good run through here right now. This is going to be a spot where if he can come onto this front straightaway and sniff any kind of draft to do something as they come down this front straight, you can see that gap is there. Gagne might be close enough, but he's not going to be close enough, Greg. He just has to get that little bit extra bit of speed out of that last corner, and it all gets wound up in turn 10 before they go through those S's.
White flag out, final lap of this race. If Jake Gagne wants to hold on to 2nd place in this championship, heading out of New Jersey and over to Barber Motorsports Park, he's got to get closer to Matthew Schultz because there will be a shift in that championship. It'll be Matthew Schultz if he can finish in this position. We'll have 2 points on Jake Gagne in 2nd spot. There is some traffic up ahead. Looks like maybe Sam Verterico on the 17. Not a great spot to catch Sam at all. But if Sam holds on to that line, it looks like they're going to sneak underneath him. Sam bends it in. He's got to lift his knee because Gagne's coming through. So Gagne's really close now. Boy, this one could come down to a draft and pass move. Jake Gagne on that Monster Energy Attack Performance Yamaha, trying to hold on to that 2nd spot in the championship. Cameron Beaubier is out front at this point.
Gagne got out of there nicely, too. He's getting out of there nice. You can see in the background those two are together. But, Greg, another tremendous win for Cameron Beaubier today.
Cross the line, Cameron Beaubier. 11 victories on the season to the line. And it's going to be Jake Gagne. He got Matthew Schultz by 14 thousandths of a second. Oh, that was so close. So Gagne in a last-moment move, as they have some words. Not sure if that's happy words or angry words,
I think
but
they're okay with it. Yeah,
I think so. Here comes Corey Alexander. He was in a battle with David Anthony. David Anthony had gotten around him the lap before, but Corey Alexander will hold on to 8th, David Anthony in 9th. So Cameron Beaubier celebrates a 2.8 second victory. So close, but 11 wins on the year. His personal record was 8. He shatters that. The outright record back in 2012, 16 race wins by Josh Hayes in 20 races. And Cameron Beaubier is going for it. Look at this. How close was that? But Jake Gagne, it looked like Matthew Schultz had him, but it's going to be Cameron Beaubier, Jake Gagne. Monster Energy Attack Performance Yamahas are going to fill the podium 1-2. with another Yamaha sweep of the podium with Matthew Skultz, Westby Racing. What a race. Can't wait to hear how it ended up. Those two in the last couple of corners. Bobby Fong in fourth, Tony Elias. So a pair of M4X Star Suzukis walk away with fourth and fifth. Kyle Wyman on that Ducati in sixth. Cam Peterson, Corey Alexander, David Anthony, and Travis Wyman. Wheel in the air for Cameron Beaubier. We're going to have more from New Jersey Motorsports Park. Hear from Cameron Beaubier, see how it went.
Today's Superbike race coverage has been sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Race 2, HONOS Superbike. Results, Cameron Beaubier with a 2.8-second victory in a red flag shortened race. And boy, look at that, 2.898 for Matthew Skultz. Bobby Fong, Tony Elias, fourth and fifth with Kyle Wyman, and then a couple of those stock 1,000 competitors in seventh and eighth. Let's get right down to victory lane with Hannah Lopa.
11 victories on the season. Yesterday we saw a 9.5-second margin of victory. Today, just 2.8-second margin of victory. Cam, with that in mind, is there anything during this short week before Barber that you and your team need to reevaluate before the next round?
No, I just want to continue this form. My Monster Attack Yamaha crew has been working so hard, and I just been having pure fun on this R1 out here. Big thanks to all the New Jersey fans for coming out. I had so much fun this weekend racing in front of you guys. We had beautiful weather, 3 Yamahas up on the box today, and yeah, I'm just really looking forward to getting back on this thing on Friday in Alabama, and yeah, see you guys there.
Thanks, Cam. Congratulations.
So Cameron Beaubier continues to extend his championship lead. 84 points over Jake Gagne. And because Gagne was able to squeak by Matthew Skultz, he now extends that lead second in the championship by 6 points. Bobby Fong back there with his teammate, Tony Elias, as they're trying to find some answers to that GSXR 1000. What do you think, Jason, heading off into Barber, September 18th through the 20th?
Just chasing the champ again. I think that it was good to see Gagne finish second today. It was a good rebound from a tough weekend for him. Skultz, after that little mishap this morning, see him back on the podium. This guy's really got it going on right now, and it'd be good to see the Suzukis try to get a little closer, maybe down to Barber.
Celebrations getting ready to begin for these riders. A great race here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Well, that'll do it for us. Cameron Beaubier continues his domination. 11 wins of 12 on the season. We hope you enjoyed it. For Jamie Howe, Hannah Lopa, Jason Pridmore, I'm Greg White. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Our second place finisher, Jake Gagne.
And Jake Gagne made that move right at the line. It was 0.14 of a second. Jake, what did you learn over those last couple of laps that gave you the confidence to make that pass?
Yeah, you know, first off, hats off to Matt. It was fun racing. And hats off to Cam, too. These Yamahas, 1, 2, 3. It's good to get back on the podium. I mean, it's been a rough couple days for me. I've thrown it on the ground. I've beat myself up, and I've made these guys do a lot of work over these last couple nights. And so thank you to the team. Hats off to these guys, the Monster Energy Attack Yamaha guys. They never stop working, and it's good to repay him with a good result. And it was fun battling with Matt. I think, you know, I kind of was in front of him that first kind of half, and then he came by me into one, and I figured I'd kind of see what he was doing, you know, get a feel for it. And yeah, going into that last lap, I knew, you know, it'd be tough. One of my main spots was one, and he, you know, we all know Matt's late on the brakes, and he blocked the door right there. And I figured, I was hoping for that last turn. That was one of my strongest turns. I figured if I got a heck of a drive out of there, and maybe Matt was a little messed up, I could try to roll the dice. And yeah, luckily it worked out. I shot through that last turn good, got a nice slipstream off him, and yeah, again, good to be up on the podium for the guys, man.
We know you were racing a little bit sore yesterday and today with a short turnaround. How will you heal yourself before Barber?
Yeah, you know, we had a couple days. I'll go back home to my parents in Virginia and just hang out and recover a little bit. But yeah, even today, you know, it's been a rough couple days with my leg and some of those injuries. But really didn't give me too many issues out there. When you're battling with these guys, you don't got time to think about that stuff. So,
congratulations, a solid day in the points and the second place finish. That's Jake Gagne, Hannah.
Jamie, as you mentioned, it was an incredibly close finish for Jake Gagne and Matthew Skoltz, who came across the line in third, and even closer in the championship points battle. Matt, knowing what's at stake, how are you able to manage the risk versus reward when you're battling so closely like that?
Well, I mean, whenever the races come, you kind of just got to put your head down and not try to think about crashing out or championship. At that point, just pretty much going as quick as you can and trying to beat the guys that you're racing with. Just a big well done to Cam and Jake. I mean, they're really awesome guys. They are riding well. We were actually joking earlier on that we've basically been riding together since 2008 from the Red Bull Rookies Cup. So it's always awesome to be up here on the podium with these guys. Massive thank you to the Westby Racing Squad. They've been working really hard, and you know, I really do feel like we're making strides forward and catching up to Cam. And yeah, you know, just a big ups to Bell and to Speedy Leathers. I had a pretty decent crash earlier on, so I'm just happy just to rebound and finish third.
Now, looking ahead to next weekend at Beaubier Motorsports Park, that's a track that we've seen you do well at and that you happen to like quite a bit. How does this boost your confidence heading into such a short break?
Yeah, I mean, Jersey and Beaubier have always been two really good tracks for me, so we kind of knew that we should be strong here and challenging up front, and I would say that Beaubier is one of my better tracks, so hopefully we can just pick up those 3-4 tenths that we're missing and challenge Cameron there. And you know, also just a big shout out to all the fans here. It's really awesome to have people out watching us race. It changes the atmosphere, so thank you guys.
Thanks, Matt. Greg?
All right, Jason, good job by Matthew Skoltz and his team. Let's take a look at race 2 highlights from the HONOS Superbike class here at New Jersey Motorsports Park.
Yeah, Cameron Beaubier today got 2 really good starts. This is the first one. We see Tony Elias gets a little bit blocked out there. He got a good jump from the second row. This race was going to be short-lived, however, because we had a big accident, involving Bradley Ward. I think he dug his knee, maybe in the dirt there, but we know he's on his way to the hospital. We wish him nothing but the best. At the restart, Cameron Beaubier got another tremendous launch, and he was able to kind of pull away, not very fast. Now, Bobby Fong made a big pass on his teammate going through that fast last turn 12. These two guys were going to go all the way to the line, battling for second place. But this guy out front had about 2.5 seconds on them up the road, and for a while it looked like Matthew Skoltz was going to hold that advantage. Cameron Beaubier comes out on the front straightaway for the final time to win again, but at the line, Jake Gagne was able to just outdrive Matthew Skoltz out of that last corner and beat him to the line by a very, very small margin.
Yeah, a little conversation afterward, and Cameron Beaubier with a wheel in the air, a very happy camper. What a season this Californian's having. Well, that'll do it for us. Thank you so much for joining all of our coverage on MotoAmerica Live Plus. We will see you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from Birmingham, Alabama.